Hey everyone. So I wanted to do another video on gold. So the previous video I showed you how to buy gold and what I bought. Um so I had this call with one of a gold dealer. And what I've noticed is a lot of people get suckered into bad gold purchases because the gold dealer will try to scare people and act like they're acting on on the best interest of the buyer. In reality, they're only looking out for themselves. And I thought I should have a video to tell you items where you should be careful of and what to look for whenever somebody's trying to do a fast one on you. So one argument that a lot of people do in the gold industry is, oh yeah, like you need to have collectibles because they're antiques, and then those people who had antiques in 1933 did not have their gold confiscated because FDR in 1933 confiscated all the gold bullion that was in circulation prior to 1933, and you had to he didn't, so technically he did not confiscate. He required everyone to exchange their gold for $20 US dollars, because at the time gold was pegged for every $20 equaled 1 ounce of gold. So he mandated that everyone exchange their gold for US dollars. And there were strict punishments, but honestly, only one person got arrested. So it wasn't as strict as gold dealers want you to believe. And then they'll scare you into saying that, hey, look, like because it was confiscated previously, it can get confiscated again. And it theoretically could, and it's possible, to be honest. But given back then, majority of people held their wealth in gold. Now, majority of the people hold their wealth in 401ks and IRAs that are held with third parties. It's easier to go to a large bank that has trillions of dollars and confiscate everyone's 401k at that bank versus going to each individual's house and asking them where's their gold and putting a gun to their head. So from my perspective, I've always thought that that given that no one technically owns their 401k and it's in the custody of the banks, it's easier to hit up like Vanguard, BlackRock, JP Morgan, State Street, all the big banks, like let's just say 50 banks, and take all the assets, all the 401ks, and call it a day versus going to, let's say, 150 million people, half of the US population, and try to confiscate their assets. It's much less painless for the government to go do that. So that's where I believe they would go after versus the gold. So that's just to give you perspective. History never repeats itself; it only rhymes. So like, if it happened before, it most likely is going to happen in a different. It's going to manifest itself in a different way because we are now in a digital era with assets mainly held digitally. People like to hold their assets digitally and have somebody else hold their assets versus themselves, because they like to give that freedom to another person. They don't want that freedom for themselves. So that's where I'm at, like with that gold confiscation. Don't let people scare you into just buying antiques only because of the confiscation. Because they're going to sell you stuff that's pre-1933. And think about it. The stuff that's pre-1933, like these coins were required by law, by an executive order, to be turned into the US government. Why are they still in existence? Because somebody decided to bury it in the ground and not allow anyone to know that they had these coins till I think it was like 1971, or it was like early 1970s that we were allowed to have gold. U.S. citizens were allowed to possess gold again. So 40 something years, these people who sold their pre-1933 gold held it for 40 years in the ground before it resurfaced. So clearly a lot of people did not let go of their bullion whenever FDR asked them to. So, like, think about that for a second. If these guys did not let go, then why even if there is a confiscation, there has to be a certain way of burying it in the ground so that we don't have to worry about this. So that's where I'm at with everything. So with what they say is antiques are these pre-1933s, as you can see right here, like MS-62, MS-63, MS-64. And you can see the spot price is like 1,919. So there's roughly like $160, something like that, premium on some of these. Some of them are like 180. So the premiums are relatively high. Luckily, like JM Bullion's a little bit more transparent in that they show the price. I think the premium that they have on these are pretty reasonable, given that they had to get these coins graded, which costs money. So JM Bullion, if this is something you want as a collectible and for just amusement purposes and everything, I understand. JM Bullion's very transparent about the price of their collectibles. Where it gets very shady is where some dealers will not tell you the price. They don't have a price of their collectibles on their website. And then whenever you call them, they won't specifically tell you the price. What they'll say is like, look, you don't know how to buy these coins because it requires experience and skill, and you could buy something that you may think is beneficial for you, but it really is not. We will develop a portfolio for you and get you the best coins possible so that you can thrive in the next environment. Be very careful when somebody says portfolio, okay? When they mean portfolio, what they really mean is that they're going to basket up all their slow-moving inventory that they need to get rid of and sell it to you. And they won't tell you that because you gave them the trust of because once you say yes to that assertion, you confirm that you have no idea what you're doing, and if they give you the slow-moving inventory, it's no big deal because you don't know what to buy anyway. So just be very careful whenever somebody says portfolio. That should be a red sign. So two major red flags are if the price is not clearly visible on their website with a detailed description of the coin, and then on top of that, if they say portfolio. Okay? Those two things, just run away from that dealer. Okay? That means like that dealer is not looking out for your best interest, to be quite honest. I've had this happen to me. I've had this happen to friends. Just be very careful whenever somebody when you see those two red flags. Also, a lot of people are probably considering, hey, let's let me get an IRA. You can get an IRA. Understand, like, whenever it's an IRA, you from a how this country works is that unless you pay tax on the income generated, that is not income that you own, or assets that you own. So if you have a regular old 401k or IRA with a large balance that you never paid taxes on, that means that balance is not in your possession yet because it has not been taxed. So that's why it's held with a third party. And when you buy gold, silver with that, technically it's not yours. You don't own it because you never paid taxes on it, and it's held with a third party. So I think because the ownership rights are not with you, it's very likely that you never receive any gains from that asset because you never owned it to begin with. So just be careful with IRAs, 401ks, any kind of retirement account. I try to stay away, honestly. I never had one. Given I'm a CPA and I have tax experience, and I don't do that, it should tell you a little bit about my aversion to these retirement accounts, because I'm really big on financial freedom and owning your assets, having physical possession of it, because that's one of our rights as a citizen of this country, is to own our own wealth, to really hold it and not have some slave master taking control of our lives. Like, we are free people, and part of the freedom is having our own wealth, not being held with other people to judge and criticize our wealth. That's where I'm at. So get back on gold. If this is something you want to buy just for your own amusement, you can definitely buy it here because these people are quite good. I buy a lot from them. Personally, I've never bought collectibles. I usually stick with the traditional bullion. I mean, even if they have a ban, I'll just bury it. I mean, I'll just be like these guys who held it since 1933 and buried it and then once it resurfaced, then they sold it. I'm okay with that. But these are just my thoughts on buying gold, because a lot of people get scared about the confiscation. There's a lot of fear mongering going on with this. At least from what I see, like they're really good at scaring people into confiscation and being worried. There is one thing I need to talk about confiscation again. With storage, I might have to make another video on banks, but with regard to storage, always keep physical possession of it. Do not put it in any safe deposit box, especially with the banks. With banks, your bank account that holds cash is insured up to $250,000 through FDIC insurance, but the banks don't tell you whenever you set up a safe deposit box that when you do a safe deposit box with them, it's in the terms and conditions. Whenever you sign that electronic form, they don't tell you these things, but I'm going to tell you anyway. If you put your gold in those safe deposit box, it becomes their property, and it's up to their discretion whether they allow you to come back and pick up your property. They own it. Straight up. They could close the branch They have no legal liability to ever give you that gold back. Period. There is no recourse because you signed at the dotted line. So if there is some situation where the banks close, or that branch closes, or the bank fails, your cash is safe, but that safe deposit box is gone. It's long gone. Whatever possessions in that safe deposit box, say goodbye to it. You're not getting access to it. That's just how safe deposit box works. Store it with you. There are certain places that have private vaults. One good example is I watched this video of Jim Rickards where he was doing some analysis for the U.S. government on how to recover stuff, and his comment was, if you have a private safe deposit box, it should be somewhere where you can ride a bicycle to. If there's some kind of electrical issue, some situation where you can't drive your car, you have to be able to at least ride your bicycle to that place. So if the private vault, and you know the owner of that private vault, and you can ride a bicycle to that private vault, that's something to consider. That's the only option, but to be honest, you should physically hold it given the current economic environment. Okay, that's it. I just wanted you to be aware of the shenanigans that happen in this market, because these people go crazy. Like, I saw when I was on the phone last week with this guy, he was trying to sell me this MS64 coin right here for like $3,700. $3,700 when the spot price was like $1,900. He was like charging me like almost 100% markup. I could have got like two of these almost, right? Like two of these bullion coins. And if I let him like scare me, I would have lost out a huge amount of money. Because what happens is, like, these guys have these dark markets for these collectibles where they get to set the price whenever they sell it to you, and then they get to set the price whenever they buy it from you. They'll say like, hey, it goes up faster than bullion and everything, but how, like, you really don't know, because you're not trying to sell it back to them. And the markups are crazy. They make sick profits off of it. They swindle people left and right. So be very careful. It's not this collectible market, it's not for amateurs. If you're just trying to protect your wealth, just put it in the bullions, like how I did it. And then in a situation where it's pre-1933, like, I mean, if we have a confiscation situation, then you just bury it like these pre-1933 people did. At least that's what I'm going to do. In any situation. But I hope you guys have a good night. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.